Oh, I thought I was less tired than I actually was.
You and me both, brother. You and me both.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello there. I didn't actually think that people were telling me the truth when they said someone lived here.
What's wrong with living here?
No, absolutely nothing. I am so terribly sorry. It's very rare that I find people that live in caves. But then again, seeing the dragon part makes more sense now.
Yeah, it would just be weird for...
Ephraim, are you talking to the TV again? Oh, hello there.
Hello, pleasure to make your acquaintance.
I apologize, Ephraim. Did I interrupt something?
No, I didn't summon him. I'm Ephraim. Who are you?
Oh, my name is Jeriah Carmine. Some call me the Traveler. Others call me a nuisance. It really depends on the day.
Pleasure to meet you. I am Ashura. We seem to be down a person. He seems to be lost at sea and going feral, fighting some ice giants. And we are the Delegation of Dreamers.
Yes, I've heard of you, actually. It's half the reason I came here.
How did you hear about us?
Oh, I was at a place that happened to have heard of you and decided to see for myself.
Some people must be remembering their dreams.
I think that's what they said, but then again, they could have also just been rambling. It's hard to tell when people are drunk.
I mean, we've had that before at the Tavern of Lost Dreams.
Ooh, that sounds delightful.
It's always a good time. With the right party, of course.
Absolutely. Any tavern crawl is good when you find the right folks to go with.
Would you like to have a seat?
Of course.
So, did you manage to travel to this realm by yourself?
Yes, actually. I am a bit of a tourist, one might say. I'm able to go to whichever realm I please, anytime I please.
That's a hell of a power. Not many have that kind of power. How did you go about getting it?
Well, when I was a young man, I discovered some ruins near my hometown and found this mask that I'm wearing. It has powers that I still don't fully understand, and one of those powers happens to be allowing me to travel between the different realms at my leisure.
Yeah, I can't tell if that mask is trying to be happy or angry.
I think...
Or just wants to consume our souls.
Or sad.
It wants to be what it wants to be. As for souls, since I've been having it, I've not had any sort of desire to collect them.
Did you have before?
Not that I'm aware of. Though I will say there have been a few mortals that have offered me theirs in exchange for some power, which, I mean, if they're giving it to me willingly, I don't see a problem in that sort of a bargain.
Did you have to give anything in return? Normally, it's power for another item. It's very rare.
Absolutely, but I usually just give them a push in the right direction when it comes to finding power. And most of the time, they're able to figure it out themselves afterwards.
Intriguing.
Indeed.
And Pertel, where are you from?
I am originally from a world that had a city called New Raskin City. It was very modernist. Think New York, almost, if you know what that is.
A realm of New York?
Well, it was a very large city that separated into different districts. Each district having its own kind of plane, so to speak. Or at least creatures from a specific plane would live there. Like there was an area that was specifically mainly fey creatures, one that was specifically for dragons, one that two necromancers were constantly fighting over control, and one where fiends like to live.
Is that where... I've heard of a mythical horde called the Federal Reserve, where there's apparently a dragon with a lot of gold. Is that where they are?
Not that one specifically, but your head is in the right direction. But yes, it was quite a nice city. Always something going on.
Huh. Have you seen some other interesting dimensions or places?
Ooh, this one I went to had two rival societies. One that was specifically magic, one that was specifically science-based. And they had what could be considered friendly rivalry.
How friendly or how rivalry was it?
Every so often, I never actually got how frequently it happens, just because it was common knowledge. Every so often, they would have a fight between the person that the science side considered the strongest, which was a cyborg named Rex Rhodes for this particular year, and the magic side considered the strongest, which was a magical knight named Zerk Calloway. to see whose side was stronger that time. If I remember correctly, the magic side won that particular bout.
Was it just about fighting for prestige?
I think it was more bragging rights, the fragile egos of mortals being what they are.
Yeah, I've actually heard of a human who died from a broken ego.
Oh,
It can be fatal to them.
sounds about right, especially depending on the upbringing they have.
Are these the only dimensions you've hopped to?
They're not the only ones. I've been to quite a few.
What's some of the more interesting ones you've been to?
I just asked that question.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm really tired.
I do apologize for showing up so late. It's just, I don't sleep anymore, so everything just seems like one long day.
Have you found anyone else with similar powers?
I have found a few people, though they didn't seem keen on conversation. The most they would ever say is just make sure you don't screw up everything, as each world has its own ecosystem that does not take kindly to outsiders, so to speak.
Okay. Speaking of being kind to outsiders, would you like some tea?
Oh, I would love some. Thank you.
See if we can get one of the goblins to make some tea. We have a kobold shortage lately.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, hopefully they're returning when our third member of the delegation returns.
Yes, you said they were at sea?
Yeah.
They were at sea, the ship capsized, they fought a couple of ice giants, and last we heard they were going feral.
Fair enough. If I recall correctly, they are a plant-like individual?
He knows too much about us.
How did you know that?
Like I said, I've heard of you before.
Oh. Then perhaps you could do us a favor and save Rue from his feralness.
I can certainly try, but plants are very hard to tame once they've gone feral.
I think we just need to give them some fertilizer.
That could possibly help, but again, plants are a very fickle thing.
Yeah, I guess. So, considering how powerful you must be being able to travel through realms, have you gotten into any trouble with gods?
Yes and no. Anytime I go someplace new, there's always individuals strong enough to know that I came through, and they're always just kind of there to see, okay, are you going to be a problem like the others, or are you going to just be here to take a look? Same thing with fiends. Sometimes they like to see if they can trick me, quote unquote, into doing things for them to get their ways.
And do you cause trouble?
Never intentionally.
Trouble can be fun to cause at times, though.
Oh, absolutely. The only times I'll do that if I feel the individuals deserve it.
And what are some of those times that they have?
Like, what do you mean?
Who would you say would be some of the individuals that have you causing trouble?
I went to this one world known as Omasa, and it was currently in this trouble of a would-be usurper of the gods trying to basically take over. I helped them, at least the gods of that world, stop him, seal him away, and wipe his name and deeds from the memories of that world. So thinking about it, I should probably go check on that place. It has been a while since I was last there.
Speaking of places you've been, have you found any place that you would want to live with the amount of realms you've hopped?
At this point, I don't really feel like I need a place of permanent residency. I just like to drift from place to place, just trying to see what's there. Just because it's too much fun to see what there is to see.
Anything in particular you're looking for then? I'm looking for a place with a low tax rate.
Yes, you're always going to have trouble with that, though. Honestly, I'm not sure what I would be looking for. If I find some place that I think would be great, I think it'll just stick out, you know?
Okay.
But if I had to pick right now, I would probably head back to New Raskin, just because that was home before I turned into who I am now.
But it's not gonna feel the same once you returned.
And maybe it won't. The only way to know is once it actually happens. And even if it does feel different, I can at least say that I did everything I felt like I needed to accomplish.
It's always a good feeling to have.
Indeed, yeah.
So what about the latest place you've been, other than here?
The latest place I've been was this world called Excelsius. The part of it I was at was called the Crystal Cliffs. It had naturally forming geodes that somehow managed to be exposed to the air, hence the name Crystal Cliffs. It was quite a beautiful sight, especially in the setting sun. The way the crystals would light up, and surprisingly not catch anything fire with a refraction, because that is a distinctive possibility.
Yeah, I keep telling Ashura that whenever the kitchen catches fire, it's because of the crystals. It's not my fault.
You also tend to use too many or overload them.
I mean, there was also when you guys overflowed lava in your sink.
He does know far too much.
I have an approximate knowledge on many things.
That sounds troubling.
That kind of power, what do you plan on doing with it?
In general, I just plan to enjoy it while I still have it, in case something were to occur that makes me lose it. Because with this kind of power, it would be idiotic to rest on your laurels.
Rest on your what?
Your laurels. It's a saying I heard somewhere. Basically, don't get too comfy where you're at, because it could potentially be taken away. At least, that's always been my understanding of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable on my pile of gold,
Absolutely.
but I am afraid at the tax man.
I'm pretty sure gold is tax deductible.
Don't you get him started. I've already had to turn the police away a few times.
Ah, fair enough.
Oh, is that why we have the door? Do you have any future plans?
Well, for now, I plan to just kind of hop from place to place, see who I can help, screw over those who deserve it, without disrupting that world's natural order too much. Because by technicality, I would be considered an invading entity. As long as I don't do anything too egregious, the world's self-defense system doesn't see me as a threat.
World self-defense system.
Depends on the world. There was this one that had this giant creature that literally would just start killing everything until the world had been cleansed enough.
How many times has it happened?
3. But the first 2 were complete accidents because I still was learning what I can and can't do before things start being a problem.
And the third one was on purpose?
The third one was more of me trying to start a reset because that world had basically reached what I would consider an apocalyptic level event.
What sort of event?
It was, if I remember correctly, a zombie outbreak.
Oh.
And I just decided to go a little ham with my powers, and the world's defense system kicked in, causing natural disasters for that one specifically.
Oh, okay.
Though, a lot of people say the eye of a hurricane can be quite beautiful, and it is.
I didn't know hurricanes had eyes.
Yes, hurricanes have like a storm system that kind of flow in a circle, and obviously there has to be a center point for it.
I guess they would need an eye to be able to see where they're going.
Yes, I do believe that one was sentient, but then again, it's hard to tell when they're not keen on conversation.
Have you seen any other wondrous things?
Ooh, there was this one world that I had gone to that, unfortunately, it had reached the end of its cycle, and I got to see a sun go supernova and just wipe out everything.
Oh.
It was like a fireworks display almost. It's quite sad, but at the same time, a very beautiful sight.
It does sound it.
Indeed. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to go see another one, but even supernovas can be deadly to some. I singed my cloak and everything.
Oh.
Not the cloak.
Yes, it is a very nice cloak.
So with all of your abilities and all of your powers, what's one of the greatest feats that you've accomplished so far?
There's been quite a few, but I think greatest feat would have to be me stopping the incursion that I told you about, simply because it was one of the first monumental things I did. And when I say the incursion, I mean the wannabe god. I got to help stop something that was never meant to happen. And in me doing so, I was able to do it without interfering with the world's defenses.
So, have you found any cool magical items during your travels?
Yes, actually, the aforementioned cloak, because it makes it harder for those who I don't want to hit me, as well as a set of dice that make gambling far more fun, because it's harder to tell when I'm cheating with them.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Absolutely. It's a very fun time, especially when they're trying so hard to figure out how I'm cheating.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll let them win just so that way they don't try to chase me out of town, like they will sometimes do.
Oh, that's so rude when they do that.
It is, But I will admit there are times where I get a bit ornery when I start winning.
You get a bit what?
Ornery, it's effectively I just start getting a bit cocky.
And throughout all your journeys, it must get rather lonely. Do you travel with anyone?
I did at first, but shortly after I started to realize that with mortals, it would cause them to physically age faster just due to the stress of transferring from one world to another. After one jump too many, a friend I had made ended up too old to be able to continue before I realized that that was a possibility. I was able to get them back to their home before they were too frail to even make the jumps.
It sounds like the powers come at a pretty high cost.
It can get very lonely, but I get to see so many stories as they unfold that helps with it. Plus, I get to meet so many fascinating and unique people.
Well, it certainly seems like you're a person that we should employ.
Oh, I am always for hire.
That sounds
Take it whatever way you're thinking.
okay. Would you be willing to see what's going on with Rue then? Because we are getting a little bit worried that he's been missing for quite a long while.
Absolutely. Do you remember the last place you saw him? That's very important for me to be able to find them easier.
Last time I saw on the news was the Icewind Mountains.
Okay. I think I've been there before, but there are probably many places called the Icewind Mountains.
Yeah, look for a trail of dead ice giants.
That should make it easier.
And a turned over cruise ship.
Okay, yes, that will definitely make it more easier. Is the cruise ship an airship or a water ship?
Water.
Okay, that should make it easier.
I mean, it's filled with air though, so wouldn't that make it an airship?
Technically, but when I say airship, I mean a ship that's meant to be flying in the air.
Ah.
But yes, no, I can absolutely go find your friend for you.
Well, that would be most helpful.
Is there anything I should be alert for, just for the sake of precautionary measures?
Ice giants.
I meant with regards to your friend, if they have gone feral.
Watch out for his bite.
Fair enough. I shall see what I can do. It was very lovely talking to you both.
Oh yeah, likewise.
As with you. And until we see you again, have a good awakening.